Hi, I'm Harold Bell. And first, I would like to introduce you to the team of Speak the Truth. Gary Johnson is the CEO and publisher of BlackMenInAmerica.com and the facilitator for Speak the Truth. Our political analyst and commentator is Christopher C.J. Johnson, and rounding out the team are a veteran pioneer television broadcast producer, actress, and former Sirius XM talk radio host, Miss Maggie Linton. Jackie Jones is a veteran newswoman who has written for the Washington Post, the New York Times, and the Baltimore Sun, and she was once a producer for my sports talk show, Inside Sports. Presently, she is the Assistant Dean for Programs and Chair of the Department of Multimedia Journalism at Morgan State University. Our supporting team will introduce themselves. Well, we're going to start off today. We're going to take a 30-second prayer, silent prayer, whether you want to pray for Joe Biden, whether you want to pray for America, and whether you want to pray for Donald Trump. It's up to you, but let's take 30 seconds. Okay, welcome to Speak the Truth. Well, we got a full load and a full plate today. These are the issues that we want to address. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, our new team in the White House, we think. Trump is still the most dangerous man in America. America is still divided. What else is new? Biden. First time I've ever heard anybody say this. Black America had my back, I got yours. The most important word I kept hearing from folks who knew Joe Biden, he is a man of his word. Well, we still have spooks sitting by the door. Jackie Jones, let's start with you.
Well, my first concern is how much damage Trump can do between now and January 20th. I think that there's a whole lot that can happen in the next 2 months, 3 months. And we already know, we were chit-chatting before we came on the air about all the things that Biden and Harris are going to inherit, including trying to get back the funds that were lost when Trump decided to suspend the payroll taxes. So that's going to have an impact on Social Security. The tax break that Americans got is set to expire. It was made permanent for businesses, but not for individuals. There are all kinds of rule changes that in terms of the environment, in terms of funding education. God knows Betsy DeVos has made a mess of the education department. So all of those kinds of things that can only get worse with last minute things that get pushed through between now and January 20th can only make their job harder. And so, and how fast can you turn things around? People are impatient. They want something to happen right away. And Biden is going to move too slowly. He's going to have trouble getting stuff through the Senate because Mitch McConnell is back. Graham is back. So he's going to have a hard time getting appointments through. He certainly is going to have a hard time with progressives because he's not going to be able to push that agenda as fast as they would like. So he's really between a rock and a hard place before he even gets in the door.
Hey, Gary?
Man, I don't even know where to start. I think there was a collective relief that I felt, and obviously everybody else, well, not everybody else, but many people across the nation felt as they flooded out onto the streets. And I think it was just the stress, the stress of knowing that, we'll have maybe some decency and less crap going on. But there's still enough going on that we're going to still have to suffer. A lot of work being done. I just looked at the news crawl right now, And it says, Trump says he'll fight results in court starting Monday. Just more and more crap, you know? And so he just can't stand to be a loser, and he's gonna burn the house down before he goes. He's gonna try to do everything he can to torch the place. I'll leave it at that, and maybe yield, as they say, to the young man up in my left-hand corner, Christopher.
There's definitely some relief in getting rid of Donald Trump. That is something definitely worthy of celebration and relief. But at the same time, there is an intense already frustration with Biden. As kind of alluded to early, he's already kind of signaling to kind of throw the progressive agenda out the window and signaling he's more inclined to work with Republicans, the same Republicans who brought us and protected and enabled Donald Trump for the past 4 years. He wants to work with them. And I can't imagine anything that they would work on that would be beneficial to the American people. As was stated before, Mitch McConnell is back, Lindsey Graham is back. The Democrats are slaughtered in down ballot elections, which is awful. They went conservative, they went Joe Biden. He pulled it out, thank God, but there's still a ton of work. His agenda, his speech, he was not addressing things like healthcare other than expanding Obamacare. That seems to be inadequate in terms of what the American people want right now. He hasn't really talked about significant COVID relief or criminal justice reform or environmental changes. So yes, young people and progressive activists, we do intend to put a lot of pressure and keep heat on Joe Biden because he made promises. We as Black people and young people helped put him in office. So we do expect something for it. Like I said, we are not super pleased with the choices that we had, but we sucked it up. We came out, we voted. We did what we had to do to get Donald Trump out of the White House. But now it's on to the next step, and we're ready to keep the job's not done, as Kobe Bryant would say. Job not done.
Okay. Juanita, how you doing, darling?
Hey, everybody.
What's happening?
Well, I'm sitting here smiling because we accomplished something. You know, we wanted Trump out, and we worked to get him out. But of course, my passion is that the momentum continues. You know, it was just said to me, and I totally agree that, you know, he's been voted in office to represent us. So it's up to us to make him accountable, to hold him accountable. If we just sit back and say, okay, we got him in, and then spend the next 4 years criticizing everything he can or cannot do without putting the work in, then that's on us. But I got a lot of hope. And yeah, that's my position. I'm good. You know, it wasn't a choice of who was the better person for me. It was a choice of who I didn't want. And that's how I voted accordingly. I didn't try to measure each of them by what they were or weren't. I knew that Biden was the better choice because I couldn't stomach Trump anymore. So I'm good. I'm in a real good space. Thanks for letting me talk about it.
Is Maggie out there? Maggie sneaks in on us sometime. I don't know when she's out there or when she isn't.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here, girl. Yeah, I kind of was doing stuff around the house, and all of a sudden I looked over and it was like 3:03. I go, oh, okay. Okay, the eternal optimist in me, because that's what I am. Number one, the candidate that I was for, and I can see a lot of difference between him and the jerk that was there, one. Okay, I'll start out with that. Number two, Biden, I don't know if you listened to his speech last night, but one of the things he said is he knows that Black people had his back. He may not be doing everything you want him to do, considering he still has not been sworn into office right now, CJ. I think that the things that you are complaining about will come. One of the things he also did say was that, and this is because I've been listening to speeches all along, was that one of his priorities was to make the Affordable Care Act more affordable for everyone. Because right now, there are a lot of middle-class people that are paying absolutely outrageous amounts. Will it still be perfect? No. Will it be better? Yes, I think it will. And the eternal optimist in me also believes that the man will listen. Last week, CJ, you were saying, well, you know, the hip hop artist went to him and you know, he said, I'm not president yet. Well, he becomes president at noon on January 20th. That's the time they need to go and talk to people, because you know what? They went and talked to 45, and guess what? He can't do anything for him. So to me, it was just a waste of time talking to a fool who doesn't give a damn about you at all. So my thing is, go start writing, get your group together or whoever your groups are, and speak. And let him know as he goes into office that Biden has something to answer for. And if nothing else, it's the delivery of this election. That's my first part. Second part is the two senators that have to be elected from Georgia, the Black folks and others who are concerned are going to get there. They're going to deliver, because no matter what happens, Biden can't do anything unless he also has the Senate, or at least has Kamala Harris as a deciding vote in an even time type of Senate. So I'm saying, Georgia, get to it, because that's what's got to be done. That's my eternal optimist. That's it. I'm out.
All right. CJ, you got a minute to respond to Maggie since you called your name. Go ahead. CJ?
Sure. Yeah. That's perfectly fine. I've heard Joe Biden say that he's going to, you know, be accountable to Black people. I'm just waiting for it. I don't expect him to be able to do a bunch of things before he's sworn into office. He can only do so much, but we do intend to put pressure on Joe Biden. Young people, progressive activists who have demands in terms of policy that he is not for. He said like 77% of Democrats said they are for Medicare for all. Every House candidate that ran on Medicare for all won. Joe Biden said he would veto it if it got to his desk. That's an issue for young activists, not in terms of the specific healthcare plan that we want, but just in terms that he is against the majority of the will of the Democratic Party. That's an issue. And why is he? Because of his big donors, because of, you know, traditionally Joe Biden hasn't had a great history. He is the crime bill guy. I'm not gonna say he can't get better. I'm not gonna hold out hope and say that he's, you know, he can't improve, but he has shown no indication that he has any interest in listening to us. So we're gonna put pressure on him.
Hands up. Crime bill was endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus and a number of other Black attorney generals and things throughout the whole United States. That's the truth. Black folks were trying to stop the run of cocaine, crack cocaine throughout the area, and they figured that was a way to do it. The Black folks in charge in this country. So don't just blame Biden for it.
He didn't do it by himself, but yes. But
no, he did not.
But there were three crime bills in the 80s. There was the 92, there was the one in 88 and one in 84. So it's been building over time. There was no one crime bill that was disastrous for Black folks. So we have to think about that pieces historically, because both parties, whatever the angle is that supports the argument they're trying to make, they're going to use something and say, well, this is the lightning rod. This is the moment when it all changed. We got to go back and look at it and say, is it truly that moment, or were there other things at play? Because if we don't understand the history of it, we end up falling into the same rhetoric and repeating the same rhetoric, and that keeps us from moving forward.
Thanks for saying history. We got to realize one of the things I've been hearing ever since during the election and after the election is that America is still divided. Well, America has been divided since 1865. You know, every president that has come into office has yet to deliver on 40 acres and a mule for Black folks. We're always left behind. I don't care which president it is, we are always left behind. And I'm gonna play like I'm from Missouri. Show me. That's what you gotta show me. Right now, Who's that? Anyway, right now we have two of the most dangerous men in Black America back in office. And I'm talking about Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell. They are dangerous. If Joe Biden doesn't get any help from the Senate, we're going to be right back in the same cycle over and over again. I don't know who has that mic on. Please turn that off.
That's you. Your mic is doing feedback. That's you. Your mic is doing feedback.
I'm sorry. I don't know why. I don't know how you. Must I mute myself? Turn the mic.
Okay, you're still muted, Harold. Okay, you're still muted, Harold. Okay.
Harold, you might have to go out and come back in.
Okay. Y'all keep going.
Harold, you might have to go out and come back in.
Okay. Let me do that.
Okay.
Y'all keep it going.
All right. We've got two other guests who haven't had an opportunity to speak. So we've got Dr. Julie and it's Thorpe, Brother Thorpe. So let's go, Dr. Julie. You're up.
All righty. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to take in the wisdom. I couldn't agree more with what Ms. Linton was sharing about accountability and how we're accountable to ourselves and what are we going to do for the next 4 years. It's not about what Joe Biden owes us. It's about what we owe ourselves at many levels, the governor level, because they played a big role in COVID, negating the states' rights rhetoric that kept a lot of things shut down, and remaining active, not just saying, okay, we won an election. Well, there are a lot of elections coming up constantly, and there's a lot of legislation coming up, and we need to win those as well. So again, thank you for for allowing me to be a part of the conversation today.
Wait, this is my sister.
I was going to ask, just give us for those who will be watching, just give us a 3 or 4 sentence bio on who you are.
Oh, I'm Lauren Skiat's daughter. First and foremost, always and forever, a child of the civil rights movement, also a former professor at Howard University at the School of Social Work, and evidently, most importantly today, Miss Juanita's sister.
Okay. Is Brother Thorpe with us?
I think Brother Thorpe must have remained on mute. I think he must have remained on. He just wants to listen in.
All right. Okay.
Let me pick it up where I left off. Like I said, I want to talk about the two most dangerous men in America right now, they're Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham. And to show you how the devil works, why would Lindsey Graham donate $500,000 to Donald Trump to fight his case in court if he was about abiding to the system? They want to keep this BS going, man, and that's what's going to happen with Joe Biden unless we can find a way around it. And I think that is going to be the big problem. I think that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris might want to do the right thing, but America has shown in its history they don't do the right thing. Okay, but Julie, you can come back in now, Julie.
Sorry about that. We were talking about if it's a false election, it's a false election. So all the Republicans need to step out, right? If it's fraud and corruption and these votes don't count, well, neither do the Republican ones. So they all need to step back. That's 5 open spaces. So it's either true for everyone or it's false for everyone. That's what we were talking about.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to pick up from there? Jackie, you want to say something there?
Yeah, I just think that when we're talking about the importance of voting, that it doesn't end with the counts here, that the patience that Biden encouraged us to have while we were waiting for the results in the presidential race, we're going to have to see that patience all the way through. So in the states where it's within the margin of being able to challenge, Trump is going to go there. He's going to file suit to try to overturn it other places. The likelihood that any of that's going to happen is slim. The margin of error, not the margin of error, but the margin to fall into a recount status is slim. And so he's going to try. He's allowed to try. The law allows that, gives him that flexibility. So the thing is to not panic and to really start thinking about the plans. How do we want to proceed in terms of putting pressure on congressmen, senators, thinking about the next election? Because trust me, the Republicans are already thinking about 2022 and 2024. And we need to be thinking about that too. We talk a lot about down ballot. Let's look at that. What's going on with mayors? What's going on with the sheriff's office? What's going on in all these smaller races that seem smaller to us? They really impact day-to-day living for Black folks. And if we want to get out there and really push the issue, the strategizing begins now. And I think that we've got to remind folks that we can take this sigh of relief and enjoy the moment, but the work begins Monday. The same way Trump is planning, got his lawyers set up to go to court tomorrow. We need to be set up to think about what the next steps are for us and to understand that this was just a vote. It's not the vote. The vote is always a continuation in order to get things moving and to think about what that structure looks like. Because we could spend a lot of time arguing about who's right, who's wrong, who did what, to whom, what you're still mad about. I'm still mad with Barack Obama. I feel like he threw DC under the bus for a vote on a bill that was favored to him. He came in talking about how he was going to support DC and home rule and all of that, and that didn't happen. That doesn't make him the worst president there ever was. Doesn't make him the best there ever was. We got some things from him. There's some things we didn't. And I think that Black folks understand, having been disappointed by elected officials. Elected officials do what is expedient for them. And a lot of it is designed to help them retain office as much as it is designed to help us. I think Maggie is right in saying, and Dr. Julie saying, that we have to put the pressure behind folks and hold their feet to the fire. And the expectation that they're going to do right by us just because we gave them the vote is just not, it's not logical, and it's not, historic practice. And so I think that we just have to understand that the work is just beginning.
I want to say this, and I want y'all to think about this. We got to January the 20th. Man, that's a lot of time before Biden officially takes office. Where do the checks and balances come in for us to watch what Trump's doing? Because he can start a lot of things that may put us in a deeper hole than we are in now. Where does the checks and balance system come from? Does it come from the FBI? Does it come from the CIA? Who looks at this guy and what is he doing? Do we understand that he may put his hand on the red button? Do we understand this guy is a very unstable individual, and he has proven that? So somebody tell me, where do we put a checks and balance in place to keep an eye on this guy?
I actually have hope in, if I may be frank, in the rats abandoning the ship. I think that he's going to lose a lot of his base support amongst opportunistic politicians who, like you said, want to stay in power, right? And so he's a lame duck, and that's the nice way of saying it, right? And so he's a losing battle. He already tried to bring lawsuits to get recounts or to stop counts in different states, and they shut him down at the state level. And so he and his lawyers entered and were forced to leave. And so the fear that I have, the greatest fear, is the quick turnaround on the Supreme Court. And so when you talk about really powerful, long-lasting change that he could inflict on this country before he leaves, it is a reality. And we were just saying, what could he possibly do? Because when you talk about 45, what could he possibly do? You really don't know, because it's not within the realm of logic.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay,
can do a lot of damage.
Oh, okay. Gary, you a CIA man. What can we get some protection from?
Former CIA man and a former White House man. This is where, honestly, this is where the media comes in as well. I like Dr. Julie's thing about comments about the rats on the sinking ship, but also I think this is where this good old-fashioned journalism comes in to keep us, you know, keep the American public, keep these things in front of us. And, you know, we've been waiting for 4 years for people around this guy to have a conscience, because the guy's got no ceiling. I mean, no bottom floor. You can't I mean, he's just a horrible human being. So anything's possible with this guy. But I do think if you look at all the things that he's done, I mean, the system has buckled, but it seems to have held up. But you know, you don't know how much more it can take. But I really think the media is where they can keep a lot of this in the forefront of the citizens of America. I know as someone on the inside with agencies, there are people. I remember the first time when he was president-elect, and I used to work on the briefing team for a presidential briefing team. And I asked one of my buddies, I said, so how is this guy? And he looked at me, and this is before he took the oath of office, and he said to me, this dude is unbriefable. We are in trouble. And I didn't understand the magnitude of what it was then, but here we are almost 4 years later. Yeah, he's surrounded himself with his own people, but maybe one of these people, I mean, you would think that they would know that they don't have any loyalty. I suspect Bill Barr is going to find out there's no loyalty for him and some of the others. So, but I'd say media, and then with, like Dr. Julie, some of the people running away, the rats, see where their loyalty is, and they may throw some things out there themselves.
Christopher?
Donald Trump's a loose cannon. You never know what to expect from him. He's gonna do whatever the most despicable thing you can do as a human. That's probably the most, you know, probable route to predict his actions. So whatever is the most loathsome action you can take, that's the best predictor of what he's gonna do as being a graceful loser, which, like I said, can you imagine a Donald Trump concession speech? That would be like Christmas. It would be illegal to be that happy if I could witness that. But I don't think we're going to get that. Of course, he's going to complain and call fake news and do what he does. But if we're relying on the media to help us, and the mainstream media, the same media that, you know, kind of enabled Donald Trump and didn't do a great job, and for a while that's been branded as fake news and all of that, then we're not in a good place, because people don't even trust the media anymore, rightfully or wrongfully. I'm not saying that's right, because Trump has unfairly demonized the media in certain aspects, but in other aspects, he has some legitimate criticisms. He wraps his lies in truths and half truths, which kind of helps him dupe his supporters. So I think it's a mess all around. I'm not very confident in anyone holding his feet to the fire, having any checks and balances over him, because he's just a madman.
Maggie Linton? Maggie?
Well, when you say the media, it's what people choose to watch. And as I got into, I was at a Christmas party last year, and a guy who I knew was listening to Fox too much. And then he says, well, I don't listen to the news anymore at all. And I said, well, you should. You should listen to everybody to find out what the good and the bad guys are saying. And I said, the thing is, as you listen to news, they may not be saying what you want to hear the way you want to hear it. But as a journalist for over 48 years, I don't make up crap. It's too easy to take the truth and tell it. I don't care, you know, Fox, they're out of popularity now. They don't have anybody on lying every day. You know, Twitter is probably going to lose its popularity because we won't have the fool on every day. And Jackie, when you say you don't know who the worst president is, well, he's getting ready to go. As a guy from New York was holding a sign yesterday, said he gone. Okay, he gone, baby, and he gone soon, not soon enough. And as CJ just said, we don't know what this fool is going to do.
That's right.
All we can do is doing what I've been saying on my daily countdown is facts and faith over fear. And hopefully facts and faith, and you know, as Biden said, he's already starting to get committees together because that's what we have to do. He has to hit the ground running. And we have to be there saying, here's what we're going to do. I'm getting ready to write to him, you know? And you know what I'm going to put on it? Joe Biden, Wilmington, Delaware. Because guess what? It's going to get to him. I don't need to know his address. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You want to talk to Joe Biden? Joe Biden, Wilmington, Delaware. That'll get to him. We have to at least say what we want to say. It may not be heard directly by him, but if you've got gripes and things like that, and you feel like you need to say something, then get there and say it. You know, the more, as I said, you know, you build the table longer and add seats to the table, because that's what's got to be done right now. We can't sit off to the sides anymore.
That's right.
And as I say again, I'm praying for Georgia. My dad was from Georgia. I've talked to numerous friends from Georgia, and they walked out the door the other night saying, we've got to take these 2 seats at the Senate. And I think that is going to be a mandate. They had 21 candidates in the general election. I said, have they ever heard of a primary? You know, 21 candidates? I think that's stupid and ridiculous. And by the way, while I'm talking about it, we need to have a full reform on the election laws. Every state, every jurisdiction got one thing or another going. We need to change our election laws and have some form of uniformity in all 50 states. Hopefully 51 and 52, DC and Puerto Rico. There you go. I'm done.
All right, Juanita. Then we'll come to Chris. Juanita?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I don't have nothing. I think everything I may have thought you guys have said. I'm going to stay with the posture of positivity. I'm going to do that Joe Biden Delaware letter. That's the best I've heard in terms of what I can contribute. And I'm going to put everything I think in it, the best way I know how. And I'm just going to be available to do whatever I need to do to participate. I'm not going to sit back and wait on everybody else to do what I think. Yeah. I'm willing to stick my hand in the fire because every day is, you know, joy cometh in the morning. So every day is a good day. So that's all I got.
Chris?
I just wanted to piggyback on the election reform. I see that Maine is one of the first states that adopted ranked choice voting. And I think that would be a great idea to actually give third parties an actual real chance in ranked choice voting, kind of similar how they have in Europe. So we can actually have more than 2 viable parties, because I know particularly people on the left or progressives feel like we don't really have a party. I know a lot of people are independents and non-voters feel like that neither party represents them just statistically. So just having more options and having more parties, I think, would be better than 2 corporate, a center right and then a far right party.
Okay. Julie, I want you to come back and because Maggie was talking about Georgia, how important those 2 seats down there. Tell us about Stacey Abrams, because I'm hearing so much about this lady. I mean, seems like a fantastic individual. It looks like she has taken the bull by the horn in Georgia and just brought the state back.
You want my comment on Ms.
Yes,
Right.
I think when you look at her critically, the only thing that I've ever heard about her is that she had the gumption to stand up and offer herself up as vice president, as the candidate. Other than that, I mean, if that's the worst thing people can say about you, that you have the self-respect and dignity to know who you are and what you stand for and what you have to offer the country. Well, yeah, no, she's got my vote, but I'm here in DC. So we were talking about where reform begins.
right? In terms of elections. And I thought, let's make being a non-state work for us. We go up to the mayor level. And so if we can get a mayoral mandate, if we can get a mandate from the people about election reform in DC, how will that set a standard for a statewide reform opportunity and a national one? I do think it's interesting because it comes up every election. We always talk about the Electoral College and how it has outlived its usefulness. I really am curious as an academic, is anybody going to run with that this time around? Because I think we all felt the danger and the fear of it. I really wonder how much this is going to influence the overall structure of elections and how they take place. I'm fascinated to know what you all think about that.
Jackie?
Well, first of all, I have to tell you that I had Stacey Abrams on my show a couple of times, and when she was just a state representative. And the thing I liked about Stacey is this last, the election 2 years ago, when she had the governorship stolen from her, she did not go out and mope and cry and whine. She showed that success was the best revenge, because she went out and organized. I'm telling you, she was an 18-wheeler rolling all over that state and got a coalition going throughout other parts of the country to make voters, the minority voters, be heard. So I'm a huge fan of Stacey Abrams, and I did not think that she was prepared to become vice president. Will she be in another 4 years? Who knows? But I'll tell you one thing, I totally respect her, and I think she's going to deliver with those 2 seats. And I think that the Senate will, if nothing else, be even, if not 1 chair ahead. And that's what this country really needs to get progress, because then Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and all these other ignorant senators that we have who are doing nothing but grabbing for power will not have the power.
Mm-hmm. One thing too, we must realize, we still, if y'all get what I'm saying, we still got a lot of spooks that sit by the door. So that's who we gotta watch. We got a lot of spooks that sit by the door, and that's why we have not been able to move anywhere as a people. So we got to find someone, just like Julia was saying, if the best thing that she could say about Stacey is that she's had the gumption to get out there and run. That's just like saying, well, Harold Bell always telling the truth. Well, why not tell the truth? Why not stand up and tell the truth? Because you know what? It's gonna still be the truth, no matter which way you attack it from, the left, the right, the rear, or the front. It's gonna be the truth. So I gotta take my hat off to the lady, because I am very impressed by her. We're kind of getting down to the time now. Let's talk about, the Black community with this coronavirus. Let's talk about the Black community and police brutality and the racism that's going on, because that's very important to us, because it's overtaking the Black community as far as the coronavirus is concerned. Let's talk about why is it that I did a list, all these young rappers being shot dead. I read from 1987 up to 2020, 49 rappers have been killed. I don't know if they've been Black, Hispanic, or what, but that seems like a deadly place to be employed, a young rapper in Black America. So we need to talk about the coronavirus and this police brutality, which is still going on. And we got an important job opening in Prince George's County. Angela Alsobrooks is in a position to hire a police chief. This can be the most important appointment in her political career. You know why? Because she got to bring somebody in that's going to change the culture. That's what it had to start at the top. And they got to be able to go up against that FOP, which is the Ku Klux Klan. And Prince George's County has been one of the most brutal and racist police departments in the country. So we got to stop and think about that, make our voices heard. Because all of a sudden, I don't know, I've been trying to get information who is on the search committee to select the chief in PG County? Who is the search committee that she hired? Those things we need to know. So maybe you guys might not need to know, but I've been out in this struggle with these cops for almost 50 years. And we got to start and take place. We got to call people out, you know, friends, family members, or whatever. We got to call them out, man, because you know what? It depends on the future of our children.
That's a mouthful, Mr. Bell. Oh my goodness, where do we start? Coronavirus. I've seen, I think, more Black people lately, the past couple of months, take the virus more seriously than I've seen in the past. Probably still not serious enough. But I mean, the population density, I'm worried about Thanksgiving. I'm worried about Thanksgiving and these holidays because folks are still going to say, you know what, this is my tradition. We all going to pack up and go to somebody's house, and that's where it spreads. Colder weather. There's so much information out there and misinformation. I think for some folks, they're clouded in terms of what they need to be listening to, but the information is available. But for me, it's Thanksgiving and these holidays coming up for the virus. I don't know about anybody else, how you all feel.
I think it's the fatigue, you know, that we've been dealing with this for so long that people are just kind of at a point where they're just kind of throwing caution to the wind to a certain degree. At Morgan State, we have about 300 students, I think I've mentioned this on another show, who are living on campus because they have housing insecurity. That means they're homeless, or their home situation is such that they ought not be there. They won't be able to successfully pursue academics. And so they complained to the VP for Student Affairs that they were going stir crazy being in the dorms because they wanted to get out. They wanted to be able to do stuff. They wanted the rules lifted to allow them to socialize more on campus. And so they had to the university had to come up with a plan that would give them some relief, you know, just kind of to let some steam off without putting them in a position where they would be of danger to themselves or others. And so they opened the theater in the student center, and they you had to make a reservation so that they could make sure that everything was socially distanced so you could go see a movie. And then the theater would have to be completely cleaned after each showing. They have like a student game room, so they've got, you know, foosball and pool and all of that kind of stuff. And you make a reservation to come in, and they can only have so many people at one time, and you got to wear masks and all of that. But the temptation to say, I've gotten this far and nothing has happened to me is the thing that, and it doesn't take much. It does not take much for you to be infected because you just don't know who else is. And as you were saying, Gary, the Thanksgiving is going to be huge because the CDC, the Yale study, they all say the biggest threat is close family gatherings because we all trust each other, and then you end up sick. And the thing is that for us, we're not going to get the same kind of treatment that Trump got. We're not getting the experimental drugs. We're not going to have somebody ferrying us to and from the hospital and making sure that we are protected in all kinds of ways. If you don't exhibit, my son's father-in-law has the virus. He's 70 years old. He's got some pre-existing conditions, but the University of Utah Hospital, because they are out in Salt Lake, is so overcrowded that they're not encouraging you to come to the hospital unless your symptoms are dire. But that doesn't mean your condition isn't, right? And so there has to be some emphasis on getting the message out to Black folks that we started off being less safe, and more vulnerable to this virus to begin with. But now we've really got to worry about it because winter's coming. The numbers are growing. They have hit 1 million cases in Texas. 1 million cases in one state. The US has the largest number of cases and the highest number of deaths. And if the country overall isn't looking out for its citizens, as any more than the frontline workers can, and they have their own limitations, Black folks should know, what's the saying that there used to be? If white folks catch a cold, Black folks get pneumonia. That's where we are with the virus, and there has to be a focused campaign to remind people that they have to take this thing seriously, because we can't rely on somebody to come to the rescue.
Pick it up, somebody. I know somebody got some thoughts out there.
Well, I agree very much with what Jackie's saying, but I also want to add that a lot like Gary's been doing, we have to get ourselves healthy. You look around and see the people who were standing in line. You go to the market and see the people who are out there. And it's not just Black folks, it's people in general. We have to put an emphasis on getting healthy, because diabetes continues to run rampant, heart disease, overweight, all those things are out there. And there are many things that we can control, that we choose not to. We're waiting on some panacea or something like that. And I really think that that's an emphasis that has to be, with stopping COVID. Yeah, COVID's going to be tough, but if you have somebody at least in place who takes it seriously and isn't trying to ignore doctors and scientists from all over the world, then I think you're going to have more of a fighting chance, because the whole world will be doing it. Removing us from the World Health Organization. Well, the head guy may not be the best guy, but he ain't doing the work anyway. He's just the mouthpiece. It's the scientists, it's the doctors down below that are really making a difference. And until we learn how to take care of ourselves, this is going to continue to ravage our neighborhoods. Insurance, like CJ was saying, Medicare for all. Well, say somebody has really good insurance and they like it and it's a plan that's coming from their company. I don't see why they have to go to Medicare ahead of time. You're forced into it at the age of, 70? I think it is. Is that what it is? 70 or 65? We're forced into
I haven't
Medicare.
reached there yet. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember the date because I'm already on it. I know it's been a while for you, Harold, but I'm already on it, but I was forced to go on to it, and pay more money into it, continuing to pay money into it, or I should say money comes out automatically of what would be my retirement. So for those who have very little, going to Medicare for all can be a major burden. Mm-hmm. But again, if there are people who already have, an insurance that they like, Biden has said more than a couple of times, then let them keep their insurance. But we've got to do something about the other medical insurance that's offered. Is it Medicaid? Is it Medicare? Whatever the case may be, we have to find an overall formula to help America work better. Because right now, we're low.
If I may jump in and ask about, with a comment about COVID, perhaps it's informed by me being a parent or a social scientist, but I think of the historical trauma that that not only has brought us to this point, but also that we're immersing our children in with distance learning, with isolation from their peers, and without broader community. We come from extended families, whether it be cookouts or Thanksgiving, but these are moments of nourishment and faith for our children. It's how we communicate our values. It's what builds up their self-content, their self-concept and who we want them to be. And we're losing the opportunity to nourish this generation as they're all in their little laptop driven lives. And my heart aches for that. And I look forward to a generation that is in need of a lot of soul care, of spirit care. And that's a part of the COVID pandemic that I don't think is getting enough attention, the human level suffering.
Mhm. You know,
Can I respond to
I
the
think
Biden?
about what Gary said. You know, here we got Thanksgiving, Christmas coming up. You know, I'm very skeptical about what's going on around me. So last time I was in the Giant, I picked up some turkey wings. I said, hey, we're gonna have turkey wings, just you and I. Hey, think about going out to nobody's house. Then several of you have always been on me about, well, Harold, you know, what's happening? I know you've been trying to get Angela Alsobrooks on, but what is happening with the PG County Police Department? Are they trying to hide something? I don't think that she's trying to hide anything. I think that she's just overwhelmed with this whole thing that's going, because she got to watch, I don't know where Hogan is coming from. The governor, he says she's trying to suppress the vote. That's what he put out on her. Now, here's a black woman that, of course, that the county executive, why would she try to suppress the black vote? So we got to watch our back, man, from each and every direction. They can call you, well, he's an angry black man or whatever. You got to stand up and make your voices heard, because that is what's going to need to take place to have some impact, man. And I feel so bad for our children. Y'all know how long I've been in the street with young folks, and that's been my whole thing. I've always said, Gary, health is wealth. You know, I always put that ahead of everything. And that's what we got to start thinking and making our young people think, that health is wealth.
CJ wanted to get in, I think, on one of the comments. Go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, just real quick. I just wanted to get in on, we were talking about Biden's healthcare plan. And I agree that maybe if Medicare for all might not be for everyone in the party, and if Biden was stuck to his guns on the public option, which he was committed to earlier in his campaign, then that would be a more option. But now he's back down from that to just tweaking Obamacare. And I understand your point with Medicare for all, but the counterpoint would be the millions and millions of people who have just been added to the unemployment line and just lost their employer-sponsored healthcare. Due to no fault of their own, would probably disagree. Medicare for all is cheaper. Yes, it is a more blanket system, but if it is comprehensive, I think in the United States of America, we could put together the best Medicare for all system in the entire world with the resources and the technology that we have if we tried. But at the same time, we're not getting that coverage. And in a pandemic, it would have been nice for everyone to be covered, because the weakest link in our healthcare system became a vulnerability to all of us in a contagious, deadly pandemic. So the person that doesn't have healthcare, who might not have been a problem before, is now a threat to everyone. So I think a system moving towards Medicare for all, at least, I don't expect Biden to, he said he vetoed it, so obviously he doesn't agree with it, but a public option would be a great compromise. I wish he would have stuck to that compromise of a public option instead of backing down altogether and just saying we're going to kind of tweak and expand Obamacare.
Who knows what he's going to do?
Mac, hold on, CJ, since you got the mic, you are a musician. What is happening with these young rappers that are being shot dead around the country? Do you have any idea what's happening?
That's a cultural thing. That's a gangster rap, is what they call it, gangster rap, for a reason. Some of the kids they're very young, as you said, and they are trying to live the life that they're rapping about, not knowing that, you know, that's a quick exit. If you really want to live the thug life, it's not a long, you know, shelf life to that life. So it's still about trying to educate. It's still trying to get some real criminal justice and gun reform. Like I said, that was another issue that we've had with Joe Biden, young activists, is the marijuana issue. Marijuana was on 5 direct ballot initiatives. It went 5 for 5 and landslid every ballot it was on. Joe Biden refuses to be for legalizing marijuana, which disproportionately affects us getting locked up as Black people. Yes.
Maggie?
Obviously, you didn't listen to the vice president's debate, because Kamala Harris said point blank during that debate that she and Joe were planning to do legalization of marijuana straight across all 50 states for those states who had not done it. That was on the record, which is why I've gone out and researched pot stocks, because I want to be part of the folks that own them. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, and that would be great, and I would celebrate Biden if he did that, and Harris. But
that's what they're planning on doing.
Okay, it's just hard for us to believe it based on the rhetoric and the records that they have before this. That's all.
Okay, guys, we got about 4 minutes.
You haven't been listening to debates, baby.
I did listen to the debate. I just don't trust the words of Kamala Harris. That's all.
I think that we don't know what any of them will do until the time comes.
Yeah,
you know?
like,
So everybody
that's it.
promises you a lot of stuff, and then
Like
the reality sets
That's
in.
all.
You
That's
know,
all I'm
so
saying.
you know, it's all chat until something happens. You know, I just think that you have to see what they do, what drives them, what kind of deals they're making, who gets what out of the deal. In the end, that's what happens. You may even have the best of intentions going in, but you know, everything is negotiable.
Okay. Everybody take 1 minute. Juliet, go ahead, take your minute, Juliet. Close it out.
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so vigilance always. And Ms. Jones said, hold the feet to the fire. Miss Maggie has said everything that she has come out of her mouth. And so check your sources and stay vigilant. We've got a long run.
All right, well, neither you don't know what a minute means, but try it.
I'm just gonna say deuces.
Okay, Jackie?
Now I've had my last word.
Okay, Gary?
I agree with everything's been said in terms of where we are, but I think the next couple of months until Inauguration Day is going to be really critical. We've got to we got to take a couple of breaths, and we can't get mad. We got to get strategic, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay, did we miss anybody?
DJ.
Okay, DJ. CJ. Go ahead, CJ. You guys got 60 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible. Let's wait and see. Like I said, we'll try to drag Biden to the right, to the right side of these issues, or to the more of the public, to the side of workers. But it's just a little skepticism. I'm sorry. Like, if he says he wants to legalize marijuana, that's great, and I'll be for him, and I'll champion that fight right next to him. But I know what Kamala said, but Kamala has been on both sides. She was for Medicare for all when she was running, and then she was against Medicare for all. She was for legalizing marijuana, and then she was against it. She's been back and forth on that before. There are videos of her laughing at the idea of legal marijuana when her Republican opponent was for it. I know that's back in a while, but that just shows like she has flip-flopped before. Kamala has not been super consistent. That's why her presidential run didn't go that far. She lost her own state and dropped out pretty early. So it wasn't the voters that were begging for her to be the vice presidential pick. They picked her for diversity and, which they thought she could bring to the ticket, but it wasn't an overwhelming cry of progressive activists that wanted Kamala Harris on the ticket.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna close out with this saying that the one thing I was impressed with Joe Biden, and of course I wasn't impressed with him from the beginning, but his family and friends, everybody said that this is guy, he's a man of his word. And we find that far few in between when it comes to politics, because they tell you anything and do something else. And that's the key. The only thing that a Black man in America or woman owns is her or his word. That's the only thing they can take. They can't take from you. They can take your car, your house, your bank account, but if you beep out your word, they cannot take it from you. And that's what we got to be about as a community. We got to come together and we got to start talking to each other. We got to stop being exclusive and be inclusive. That's our problem. We always want to be the one. Hey, man, I want to thank you guys for a great show, great information. And until next Sunday, I'm Harold Bell, and you can color me gone.
All right, that concludes our show, everybody. Have a safe weekend and start the rest of the week.
Have a great week.
All right, have a great week,
everybody.
Hang in there.
Ashe.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Doc.